There are three fundamentals of submitting a really strong offer. Number one is the offer itself being really functionally strong. The second is going to be as simple as you being a really strong buyer. And then lastly, having strong communication just in general. And so I want to spend a moment today just going over those three things. So my name is Paden, I'm Clancy Fairbanks, and let's talk about it. So we jump into number one, which the basics of it is a strong offer. A lot of people really want to negotiate really hard without providing any evidence that their offer is strong. What are some ways that you could do this? It's super easy. Make it so that your due diligence is a very reasonable time. Have a large amount of earnest money put down from the start, or doing a combination of any of those things. But talk to your real estate agent and really focus on the idea, what can we give to the sellers that aren't going to cost us a lot or that are going to make them feel more comfortable with our offer? A good example of this would be like somebody trying to offer $40,000 low from list price, while also at the same time only putting down $500 in earnest money and giving themselves a month for due diligence. This is an offer and it is a negotiation tactic, but you're not giving the sellers anything. You're not making them comfortable in any way. Where if you offered $50,000 below list price, but you said, here's $2,000 of earnest money that is non-refundable to us if we don't accept the offer. Is this a good or bad strategy? It doesn't really matter. That's strategies that we use, but the biggest important piece of it is for you to really understand the sellers are getting something from you, and it may not monetarily cost you, but it forces you to prove your value as an offer. So understand the fundamentals of an offer. Understand the things that you can offer to a seller that may not cost you money, but that make it so that they are able to have more certainty of closing. And lastly, just make sure you understand genuinely what you're offering and the stats behind it. But this brings us to the second part of it, which is the biggest focus on, are you a strong buyer? If you're using a different loan type, USDA, VA, FHA, the simple truth of it is that you're not as strong of a buyer as a conventional, because there's more barriers of entry or more barriers of closing to get to closing than there would be on a conventional loan. This isn't good or bad or right or wrong. It's just something to really be aware of in general. Because if you are able to use a conventional loan and it serves you the same way that an FHA would, maybe you consider talking to your lender and seeing if this is the route that you should go. Communicate with your agent and say, okay, we do have a VA loan, we're still gonna put $50,000 down. If you're gonna not put a lot of money down, but you do have an FHA loan or a USDA loan, maybe you try to put down $1,000 and you say that $250 of it's going to be non-refundable. Proving that you're a strong buyer in your intent to buy the home and that you have a strong financial position will help you quite substantially with an offer. And it really will change the perspective of the seller of you. And then lastly, this is the simplest and dumbest thing, and it's crazy to me that real estate agents don't take it more seriously. Communicate. When you submit your offer, explain what your position is, explain why you're submitting the offer the way that you are. Sometimes it'll backfire and the people are going to be all grumpy and mad about it, but typically sellers are going to take that information, weigh it around in their head, and take the things that they feel are true and take them into consideration. Now, be careful. Any information that you release is you losing part of your negotiation power or strategy or whatever and whatnot. So don't release too much, or don't release things without having an expectation for a reason behind it. But communicate to the seller. Pick up the phone whenever they call you. Have your agent pick up the phone whenever they call you. Have your lender call them and talk to the strength of your loan and your loan application. You being able to explain things and being willing to talk to the listing agent, the seller, whatever and whatnot is going to make it so that they have more comfort and not only understanding where you're coming from, but also just the fact that they'll be able to get some of their questions answered. Now, before we go all over into it more, yes, it's typically going to be a buyer's agent talking to a seller's agent, but you as the seller or buyer need to be talking to an agent that you feel like communicates well with you and have an expectation that they communicate with the other agent just as efficiently, if not more efficiently. And so those are kind of the three basic things. How strong is your offer? What are you offering to them? Do you understand the offer? Are you giving the sellers anything? How strong are you as a buyer? What are your expectations and what can you apply for a loan for? How likely are you to close on the loan? How much are you putting down, earnest money and whatnot? And lastly, communication. Are you answering questions and doing it in a quick and efficient manner? If you're doing these things, it will really strengthen your offer. It'll really strengthen you as a buyer. But that's all I got for you today. Let me know if you got any questions. Thanks for watching and bye-bye.